Hi, Kevin Wright here, back with another property finance video. And what we're talking about this week is about how you can still keep buying in a seller's market. So if you're struggling with finding deals right now, keep watching. So, how do you buy property when it's a seller's market? Well, you know, there's always an oscillation in property. It's either a buyer's market or a seller's market, and then it's a buyer's market again. And in the time I've been involved in property, I've seen it switch from one to the other multiple times. So there's definitely a different way to act and behave as an investor when it's a seller's market than when it's a buyer's market. So from 2020 through to 2022, certainly it's been a very strong seller's market. In other words, there's been not enough properties on the market for the number of buyers that want to buy property. So that means there's more buyers than there are sellers, which means sellers can command premium prices or higher prices. Now, if you've been looking at properties over the last year or more, you've seen this, you've experienced it yourself. And what does it look like? Well, it looks like a property comes on the market and it gets multiple offers, maybe 10 offers, 15 offers, 20 offers, and often above the asking price. Now, mortgage lenders don't often support those prices, and you could find that the mortgage lender's valuer says it isn't worth the price you've agreed to pay, and they only lend a lower price. Maybe they only lend against the asking price, which means you either have to drop out if you haven't got a bigger deposit, or you have to come up with the difference. So instead of a 25% deposit, you have to put 25% plus the down valuation element. Now, if you've experienced that and you said, well, I can't find any deals because I can't find deals that I can make any margin on if I've got to pay asking price or above asking price. So there is a different mindset, and I've seen this in previous sellers market. And the mindset is it's not the price you pay that determines which deal you do. It's the value you can add. So the deals that work in a seller's market are the ones where you can add exponential value. Now, if it just needs a cosmetic refurb, it's probably not going to work. So it's a different type of deal you've got to look at to make money in a seller's market. So what type of deals are likely to work? Well, ones where you could add significant value by adding significant living space. Now that's typically, can you add, extensions? Now extensions preferably with permitted development rights, i.e. you don't need to bother the planners to do what you need to do. So you can go out the back, out the side, and add exponential living space. Now the cost of creating the living space is usually less than the value of the living space created. Maybe it's a title split that can add the exponential value, or maybe it's more substantial alteration that does need planning.
Hey, have you subscribed yet? Click that subscribe button down there and that dingy belly thing so you don't miss any of my videos when they're released, which is every week. Great, thanks. I almost forgot, Instagram. Click that button too. Look, it's down there. Thanks.
So these are tried and tested ways of adding value in a seller's market. But in another sense, it's always a buyer's market for specific types of property. Let me explain what I mean by that. Now I'm going to look at 3 ways that you can have a buyer's market operating in a much wider, more general seller's market. So let's look at those 3 ways. Here's the first way. The first way is to look for the properties or the deals that other investors pass over or don't see or dismiss as an opportunity. What we're talking about here is cash buyer only deals. Now this is properties that have got a specific problem that right now stops them being mortgageable. Now if you can identify such a property with a problem, and most importantly, you know how to solve that problem, now you've got a property that maybe hasn't got 10 or 20 offers. And maybe it hasn't sold within a few days of going on the market. It's been on the market a few weeks, or even better, a few months with little interest. Or maybe 1 or 2 buyers have come along realised the extent of the problem and dropped out again. So you'll have a frustrated seller who can't sell their property and a frustrated agent who can't get a completion that means they get paid. Now check out some of the other videos that I've done about cash buyer only properties. So you see on the page some thumbnails that will help you to find the other videos that I've done on this subject in the past. Now, why are cash buyer only deals attractive? Why are properties that haven't sold just like that attractive? Why are properties that agents can't shift as easily as they have shipped in their other properties? Why is this good news for you as a buyer? Well, for one reason, you should be able to get it at a lower price. And a lower price means that you can add a margin that makes the deal worth doing. Now, of course, cash buyer only properties that are unmortgageable, you can't buy them with a mortgage, which means you need to have a bundle of cash. Or do you? If you watched a number of my other videos, you'll know that actually, no, you don't. Because you've got that fantastic instrument of flexibility, of financial flexibility, which is bridging finance. And bridging finance lenders will lend on properties that have got a problem that are cash buyer only properties, as long as you can give them a solution to the problem and say, hey, I know this is a problem right now, but here's what I'm going to do. And once I've done this, I'm going to have a mortgageable property. Bang, you get your money. So for problem properties that are cash buyer only and that are unmortgageable, it's always a buyer's market, even in a seller's market. And how good is that? Now, the second way to operate as a buyer in a seller's market, in this little buyer's market that's enclosed within the wider seller's market, is that, well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And if you've got this problem property, another angle is to actually reach an agreement with the seller that you can solve the problem and then buy it. Now, this involves using a done-up value bridge. And here's the thumbnail to show you the video where I explain how a done-up value bridge works. So what does this involve? Well, it involves agreeing with the seller that you're going to exchange contracts, you're going to have an extended completion time frame that's longer than the standard 4 weeks, and you're going to have the seller's permission to get the keys to go into the property and do the work that's needed. Now, you're extending the completion time to allow you to do that work and finish the refurb work. And now, even before you've bought the property, you've solved the problem and you've made it mortgageable. And now use a done-up value bridge against the value you've created, not the lower purchase price, and that allows you to complete the purchase. Now, of course, you have to get the seller's agreement on this, and I'm going to be honest here, not all sellers will agree to it. Some will just be a bit spooked by the fact that, oh, this is not how you normally do stuff. And being equally honest, some sellers' solicitors are going to advise their clients not to do this. So it doesn't always work. But if you can get a compliant seller, and typically the more motivated they are to get a quick sale, the more compliant they're going to be, you can still make this work. And we've been financing the bridging on these types of deals going back for 10 years or more. And the third way to operate as a buyer in a seller's market is to move faster. And bridging finance enables you to move faster. People that are tied to doing mortgages and just have mortgage buyer mindset, as I call it, are going to have to work at the mortgage lender's pace. And mortgage lenders are working slower post-COVID than they were pre-COVID. Mortgage lenders have always worked slower than bridgers anyway. So again, if you can buy a problem property with bridging finance, you can speed up the completion to give the seller their money quicker and the agent the completion that they want quicker, and everyone's happy. So there you've got some ideas on how you can still operate and make money and do deals in a seller's market. Even if you've got to pay market value or sometimes even above market value, it can still be a deal if you can add enough value to the property. And that's just not going to be by just doing simple cosmetic refurbs. And it's always a buyer's market when you operate with cash buyer only properties. So there we are. There's some stuff to keep you going for this week. I'll be back next week with another video around the subject of property finance video. Have a great week. See you then.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.